I did the Emperor's New Clothes as well, and my name is Emma Paxson. I started out with the Emperor, and I chose the colors blue and gold just because those are kind of royal colors that I thought. And I went with the triangle just because it seems more like a higher up status than anything else would be. The blue, I chose the blue for him to show that he is fully clothed, and then later on, when he is not, he will be gray, but he still has his crown. For the weavers, I chose a taller triangle just for the evil effect, and I gave him a little cape at the top. And I chose a darker color just to get the darkness across. I made the looms that they used to weave the Emperor's clothes. And then the triangle at the bottom is the faithful old minister that the king takes faith in when he tells him that the clothes are actually there when they're not. And I thought since it did describe that the minister was old and had spectacles, I thought it would be nice to put these spectacles on the character. I also made the canopy that the king walks under when he enters the streets to show the crowd his new clothes. And then my first scene is in the king's throne, and in the story he talks about how all of his possessions were clothing, and he just loved his clothes. So I made his wardrobe full of his royal clothes. And then the next one is when the king himself actually goes and sees the workers after his guards and his minister had told him that the clothes were there, and then he believed it himself even though they weren't. And then the final scene is the street scene where he dresses up and goes out into the public, and then the public convinces themselves that he is actually wearing clothes when he is not.
I like the way that you based your two actual colors, the blue and the gold or yellow, around one thing. Normally that sounds like it'd be a bad idea, but considering that his clothes are like the main point of the plot of the story, it's kind of nice to emphasize that.
Going back to color, you actually had more than 4 colors.
Yeah,
you had your grays, and so.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to, if you want to have a gray, you have to substitute one of your colors.
Or you can substitute it for black or white, but you can't have black, white, 2 colors in gray.
Okay.
Other comments?
The building, are those like people in buildings on the last slide, kind of like looking over
Yeah.
the street? Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of like viewing the
Yeah.
actions.
Was that like in the story, or did it explain in the story how they saw him?
It didn't really explain how they saw them. It was just he was out in the streets, and I wanted to portray it a little differently than I thought it would be. So
Yeah, it was super, like it's unique, and I kind of liked that they were up there. It was like, because I would have never thought to do that. It was just kind of a different perspective, I thought.
The rest of you? No observations?
How did you make the clothes, or decide if the clothes were going to be rectangles, because it didn't show like any like boxes for the wardrobe?
for these,
Yes.
I chose them just so that it looks like there were a lot of clothes in there. So I like wanted to make them like really thin, so that I could fit more in there.
others?
What are the crescents on like the wall? Is that just like, kind of like a decoration?
Yeah, it's kind of decoration, kind of like his crown almost, to pull it together.
Okay. Let's look at this slide then. You have a lot of empty space on the right of the slide. And why did you leave the slide that way?
I wanted the emphasis on his clothes, just because that's basically what he prided himself in, and I didn't want to put anything else in there to take away from that.
And yet, you don't get as much emphasis on the clothes. What really gets the emphasis is that design piece up in the upper left.
Yeah.
I think that we ought to talk about ways that you can fix this up so that you do put more emphasis on the clothes, and that we get a composition that doesn't draw us all the way up to the side for something that isn't part of the scene. You want to make sure that the scene, in that sense, that something that's happening in the story gets more emphasis over setting. In other words, rather than designing the slides so that you see a really nice room over the fact of why you're being led in the room. So if why we're being led in the room is to see the size of his wardrobe, how can we emphasize that? Let's have some suggestions for her.
If she just put another wardrobe on the other side and just like took off the outline of the thing, because I think the outline is bringing out the yellow.
Other suggestions?
If you had him standing by the wardrobe and it being much bigger than he is.
Yeah, I think I would enlarge the size of that wardrobe somewhat so that it gets a dominant spot there. You have another suggestion over here?
I think if you wanted to reduce like the emphasis on the design, you could also make the design smaller. And make, also, as you said, make the wardrobe a little bit bigger.
Or if you want some sort of a design, and I can understand the impulse to want to make it look like an ornate room, it is the palace. Maybe what you could do is put some design to some effect around the windows or something in the back, but not in such a way that they would really pop out. And then combine and not have a separate design piece there. And then combine the that with enlarging the wardrobe and maybe putting him right to the side of the wardrobe, get the emphasis on the wardrobe.
Yeah.
And I think this is one slide in particular you want to fix up before you put in your portfolio. Because you're going to put in your portfolio your original slides and the other revisions of them, things you do to make them better. Okay, any other suggestions? Thank you very much.